Breaking overnight, hundreds are without power after severe weather in the northern part of the state. We'll have the very latest.
One person is dead after a fatal crash overnight on East Washington. As you can see, the car just being loaded onto a tow truck. How this will impact your morning commute just ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It is Thursday, August 8th. We are starting this morning with breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center of a deadly crash over on the east side that will impact your commute.
Christina Laurie is live on scene on East Washington Avenue with the very latest. Christina, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Josh and Leah. One person is dead after that crash, which happened here on East Washington near the intersection of East Washington and South Dickinson Street. That's just east of the Pasquale's restaurant for people familiar with this area. As you can see, all eastbound lanes are still closed this morning as a result of that crash. As for the crash itself, 2 cars were involved, although we're not sure how many people have been taken to the hospital. Right now, this morning, one of the cars involved in the crash is being loaded away on a tow truck. That should happen within the next few minutes, we're told. Again, we do know at least one person was killed in this accident, and we will continue to be out here all morning monitoring the latest, especially as drivers start their morning commutes and this road closure starts to cause major backups. Josh and Leah.
Christina Laurie live for us. Christina, thank you.
Hattie McLean joining us now with a look at your first alert weather on this Thursday. How's it looking out there, Hads?
Well, it looks like we're having a great start to the day today. All the storms from last night have come to an end. We have very pleasant conditions. Temperatures are in the 60s this morning. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV sky cam. Sun is up this morning. Skies are already clear. You can expect to see plenty of sunshine through the day. We're at 64 still here in Madison. Drops to 62 in the Dells and now down to 58 in Camp Douglas. Light northerly winds and lower humidity should combine to make a pretty nice afternoon. We're looking at high temperatures in the upper 70s. Now look at the traffic maps this morning. Again, you heard Christina talk about that accident that has occurred on East Washington. That was earlier during the overnight hours. Still lanes of traffic impacted there with road closure, so route around that area if you can this morning. Otherwise, no other major issues to talk about here in the Madison area. No major slowdowns just yet either. And that's your first alert traffic.
We are loving that gorgeous forecast that we've had this week, huh?
Gets even better for the weekend.
Ooh, looking forward to that. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
All right, we are tracking more breaking news this morning in Green Lake County.
That's where a couple hundred people are still without power after a round of severe storms tore through the northern part of that county overnight. Straight line winds, rain, and hail hit the city of Berlin around 8 last night. At this point, deputies tell us all roads in that area should be back open, despite multiple power lines that were down overnight. Emergency management teams will do a damage survey later this morning. No injuries have been reported.
Farther north, Green Bay is also recovering from heavy storms this morning. They've experienced power outages, flooding, and property damage on Green Bay's east side. At one point, nearly 14,000 households were without power. Even a local news station, WFRV, was without power. More than 800 are still without power right now.
A 40-year-old man from the Wisconsin Dells is dead after a drowning in the Wisconsin River yesterday. He was visiting Newport Park in Lake Delton with his family. Police say he wasn't a strong swimmer and was wading in a shallow area near a steep drop-off when he went under. Rescue teams found him within minutes, but they were not able to revive him.
More local news now. A Lyft driver accused of sexually assaulting a passenger will not be charged. The Dane County District Attorney says there's not enough evidence to prosecute him.
If new evidence surfaces, we can reconsider this for formal charges. And we honor the courage it takes victims to report these cases. We do so every single day as we apply the law to the new cases that cross our desks.
The woman says the driver locked the doors and forced her to perform sex acts. Police recommended a charge of second-degree sexual assault of a person under the influence. That case is considered closed for now as detectives are trying to reach out the woman to tell her.
Democratic lawmakers are proposing a package of bills that they say could help give victims of childhood sexual abuse a new chance at justice years later. One of those bills would expand mandatory reporting requirements for members of the clergy. It's a measure that would make a big difference for Debbie McNulty. Back in the 1980s, she was among a group of women that accused ministers at Calvary Gospel Church of sexual abuse, but police were never notified. Debbie says she was just 11 years old when it first started.
I was told that if I told my story, people wouldn't come to church. If they didn't come to church, they were going to burn in hell, and that was my fault. So inherently, right away, you learn that it's your fault.
Under current law, children who were sexually assaulted have until the age of 35 to file a civil case. Another new bill would change that and eliminate the statute of limitations altogether. Similar measures have failed in past sessions, and some faith-based groups are expressing concerns this go around. They say they want to preserve the tradition of the confessional. Now, Calvary Gospel Church released a statement to News 3 Now, saying in part, "We are reviewing those allegations. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement officials as required."
A Richland Center woman is asking gun owners to think twice before exercising their open carry rights. This after a frightening situation at a vigil Tuesday night. Autumn Lent and about a dozen others were trying to pay respects to the victims of a recent mass shooting across the country when she said a man stopped in his vehicle and started yelling, then came back 5 minutes later with a gun. Her first instinct was to shield her son.
What went through my mind in those first 10 seconds was, this is probably what the people in the last 2 weeks in the mass shootings experienced, someone walking towards them with a rifle. They didn't know what was going to happen.
Now those seconds didn't last long as police arrived in less than a minute. Richland Center's police chief says that after speaking with the man and learning he wasn't a threat, officers explained that the man had the constitutional right to be there with his gun. He just hopes that people will be mindful of how they exercise that right.
Happening tonight, the Madison Night Market is back on State and Gilman. It's the third of 4 night markets this summer. It runs from 6 until 10 p.m., featuring live music and dozens of vendors. The final Madison Night Market this year is scheduled for next month on September 12th. All right, 6:06 your time now. We are celebrating National Farmers Market this week with what else? Food, of course. Our dietitian Emmy Bodden is in this morning with what's cooking when it comes to your local food producer.
But first this morning, we're cooling things down heading into the weekend with less humidity. Woohoo! Patty will let us know what to expect and just how long this weather's going to last. You're watching News 3 Now this morning. We thank you for that, and we'll be right back.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Take a look at the storm reports over the last 24 hours. Most of the area pretty quiet. Hardly any rain in southwestern Wisconsin, but there were some strong storms to the north, just clipping our north and northeastern viewing areas. Some wind reports, lots of trees down in Green Lake County, also some power outages associated with those storms. They did have some strong winds and also some pretty heavy rain. Some parts of the viewing area where you see these blue shaded colors picking up over an inch of rain. Now contrast that with less than 1/4 of an inch in Madison and basically dry conditions for the southwestern corner of the state. These storms really just tracking to our north and east. Now this morning things are quiet. All the rain has come to an end. That cold front has pushed through the area, so we're looking at quiet conditions for the rest of today. Now speaking of that cold front, it's definitely cooling down to the north. Take a look at some of these numbers. Down to 58 in Eau Claire, Superior's at 50, Brainerd, Minnesota is at 52 degrees, while we're still in the 60s here in southern Wisconsin. That cooler air will gradually filter into the region through the day today. Let's take a closer look at southern Wisconsin. We'll see how you're starting your morning. If you're ready to head out the door right now, it's 62 in Watertown, 68 still in Monroe. That's one of the warmer spots. 64 in Mineral Point. Prairie du Chien starts at 65 this morning. Dew points are right around 60 degrees, but good news, those numbers will be falling through the day. This afternoon, we're looking at dew points in the low 50s, which is a very comfortable range for that dew point number, so you're not likely to notice the humidity today. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Temperatures may drop just a little bit yet before the sun really can start warming us up, but mostly sunny skies with temperatures back in the mid 70s by lunchtime. Our high this afternoon should be in the upper 70s here in Madison, 78 degrees. Janesville, you might top at 80, but a little bit cooler to the north. In the Dells, if you're headed to the water parks today, 75 is the high. Now it should be very comfortable this evening, already by 8 o'clock, dropping back into the upper 60s. We don't stop there. Temperatures will bottom out in the 50s overnight. So take a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures that will stay in the upper 70s for highs on Friday. We're back into the 80s for the upcoming weekend, but beautiful conditions expected. Our next chance for rain holds off until late Saturday night and Sunday, and it's a small chance at that. Now let's get a look at those First Alert traffic maps this morning. We'll send it over to Jason Stone for all the details. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. No issues on the Beltline. All lanes are at or near the posted speed limit. There is a slight delay on Verona Road at Highway PD at this time. Otherwise, routes heading into Madison and around Dane County are clear at this time. And East Wash is closed between Baldwin and First Street in both directions due to an accident and will be throughout the morning. With your First Alert traffic, I am Jason Stone.
Jason and Hattie, thank you both very much. All right, 6:13 is your time this morning. And we continue to celebrate National Farmers Market Week with some really great tasting reasons to shop local for your food.
Oh yeah, our favorite dietitian, Emmy Bodden, is back with us this morning to share some more of her tasty recipes. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, of course.
So you said something last half hour that I think is really important. Yes. Not only is shopping local at your farmer's market great for shopping local, supporting your local economy.
Definitely.
But it's healthier, right?
Yeah, so because the fruits and the vegetables are picked at their prime when they're the most fresh, it also means they're more likely to be higher in nutritional value. So if something is a source of antioxidants, it's likely that those antioxidants are going to be in higher content when they're picked at their peak. And because they don't have to travel a long ways, that doesn't cause them to deplete, while they're en route to you. So you get them, they're super fresh, and they're really high in whatever vitamins and minerals they have.
So we're at the start of August right now. What's in season at our local farmers market?
Yeah, tons of stuff. Berries, cherries, greens, onions, green onions. Well, rather green onions, not regular onions. Cauliflower is in season, corn is in season, so many really great things. One of the things that I love that's in season right now are tomatoes. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not the biggest fan of tomatoes in the winter. They just don't taste that great, but in the summer, it's a totally different story. They're super flavorful, the texture is amazing, and speaking of nutritional value, when you eat them with a source of fat, so a healthy fat like olive oil, it actually increases your body's ability to absorb those antioxidants in the tomato. So just a little tip from me, and I have here a pico de gallo that features fresh local tomatoes. So one of my favorite things to make at home.
So when you're going to the farmer's market, a lot of times you're trying new things. What do you have as far as tips for people that are maybe trying to go outside of the box, and what should they be looking for?
Yeah, so first thing, look for color. I mean, if you see a color that appeals to you, the more color the better in the diet, and it can really be a source of good variety, new vitamins and minerals, antioxidants that you don't maybe have in your diet right now. And like I said, talk to the farmer. That can be a way to introduce more variety into your diet, get you more comfortable with different foods that you maybe haven't tried before, or foods that you thought you didn't like that you actually might like once you know how to prepare them.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the pico de gallo here. What else you got for us? This is looking pretty tasty.
Yeah, so that's my farmer's market herb rice salad. So the beauty of this salad is that you can really make it with whatever's fresh at the market that week. So this is zucchinis, we have snap peas, we have tons and tons of herbs. So that's one of my favorite things to buy at the farmer's market right now. They're totally in season. They smell awesome when you walk by a booth and you just get a big whiff of mint or basil.
You can even smell it in here this morning.
Yeah, so I just put in whatever was fresh, dill, and then the brown rice and some local greens too, which are in season as well. So a nice little lemon vinaigrette, but you can definitely buy a store-bought one if you want to save some time.
Okay, so the tacos also looking really good?
Yep, so these are my probiotic tacos. They are probiotic rich because they have the fermented cabbage mixture from a local business. It's called their Immunici blend. It's got turmeric, it's got ginger, and of course the fermented cabbage gives you those probiotics. We have tempeh, which is an excellent plant-based source of protein with some pro and prebiotic content in it too. Local greens, and then one of my favorite things in season right now are microgreens. So if you've never had them before, they're so flavorful. It's like a piece of basil times 100. They're just so rich, and so I love flavoring things like that with microgreens.
And then you had breakfast covered for us too. We've all enjoyed it already. The muffins.
Yeah, no, these are one of my favorite things to make. These are my Door County Cherry oatmeal muffins, and you can really do it with whatever berries are fresh at the market, or honestly whatever fruit that you find that you like. It's just the freshest Door County cherries that you can imagine, so sweet, so in season, and then I just bake them up like I'm baking oatmeal, and they're good to go for quick snacks or quick breakfast.
And so good.
Yeah, we know that firsthand. Emmy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Nice to see you guys.
All right, coming up after the break, the largest ice raid in a single state in U.S. history. We'll have the very latest just ahead on News 3 Now this morning.
But first, Hattie tracking a cooler and sunny Thursday ahead. She's going to let you know what to expect as you head out the door to that gorgeous sunrise when News 3 Now this morning continues. Stay with us.
Get the
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Peeking in on the polar bear this morning, already enjoying some laps in the pool. It's going to be a gorgeous day today for anything outside. Lower humidity, lots of sunshine, and just nice conditions. Let's take a step over here and check out the Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam. Beautiful orange sky in Platteville this morning. Skies are clear there. In Platteville, temperature is 65 degrees. It's also 65 in Prairie du Chien, 64 in Madison, 66 this morning in Janesville. Now, our temperatures aren't going to be quite as warm as they were yesterday. Winds are calm here in Madison, but if there is a wind, it's light from the northwest. That's ushering in some cooler and drier air into the region. So as you head out the door this morning, you'll definitely need the sunglasses. It's going to be a warm day, but not as hot as yesterday. Highs will be in the upper 70s this afternoon with, again, lower humidity. Have a wonderful day.
Hattie, thank you so much. We're tracking breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning. Crews are on scene of a house fire in Mount Horeb. Officials tell us it started just after 4 o'clock this morning. There have been no reported injuries so far. This is a developing story. Be sure to stick with News 3 Now and channel3000.com for the latest updates.
To national headlines now. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it has completed the largest single state immigration enforcement in U.S. history. Agents rounded up 680 migrants during ICE raids in 6 cities across Mississippi this week. Several work sites were targeted. Many of those workers now leave behind their families, many of whom are young children.
I need my dad for me. My dad didn't do nothing. He's not a criminal.
Last month, President Trump had threatened ICE raids in major cities across the country. But officials in Mississippi say their operation, which took 11 months of planning and more than 600 special agents, was not directed by the president.
While we are a nation of immigrants, more than that, we are first and foremost a nation of laws.
Now, officials say the migrants are being processed yet this morning. Some will go to an ICE facility in Louisiana, while others may be given an alternative to detention for humanitarian reasons.
Community members in El Paso and Dayton have mixed feelings about the president's visits to their cities. Yesterday, President Trump visited the 2 cities that were terrorized by gun violence over the weekend. Some residents in El Paso say that the president, who has complained of an Hispanic invasion, should stay away from the largely Mexican-American community.
All of these horrible things that he's been saying about Mexicans, Hispanics, that we're not like that.
We had an amazing day.
Trump stopped at a hospital to meet with medical staff and survivors of the attack and later met with first responders and law enforcement personnel. Earlier, President Trump had stopped in Dayton, Ohio and visited a hospital where many of those victims had been treated there.
It was low-keyed and was focused on the victims and the first responders.
Protesters were in both cities, and Baby Trump balloon even made an appearance. On Friday, the White House is set to host an event with tech companies to search for ways to curb violent behavior online. Right now, a T-shirt is no longer being sold at the Wisconsin State Fair after at least one person complained. The shirt said LGBT, which stood for liberty, guns, beer, and Trump. The complaints were that the shirt was offensive to the LGBTQ community. Online, other people took issue with pro-gun shirts in the wake of last weekend's mass shootings. But the stand was only asked to remove the one shirt.
All right, 6:24 your time now. We are just getting news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center that all lanes of East Washington Avenue back open after a deadly crash there. We will have a live report from the scene straight ahead.
And the latest on that deadly crash out on East Washington Avenue. Stay with us for live updates and the 3 things you need to know today. This is News 3 Now this morning.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks. It is Thursday, August 8th. We are starting this half hour with the latest on breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center of a deadly crash on the city's east side.
All lanes are now back open along East Washington Avenue within just the last few minutes. Christina Laurie's live on the scene with the very latest. Christina, what can you tell us?
Hi, Josh and Leo. Just a few seconds ago, we saw a street sweeper going through, the last sign that anything was wrong here on East Washington after that fatal crash overnight. One person is dead after that crash, which happened on East Washington near the intersection with South Dickinson Street shortly after 1 o'clock this morning. That's just east of the Pasquale's restaurant, if you're familiar with this area. Now, all lanes of East Washington in both directions were closed between Baldwin and First Streets for several hours. As for the crash itself, at least 2 cars were involved, although we're not sure how many people have been taken to local hospitals. Again, we do know that at least 1 person was killed in that crash. We will continue to be out here all morning as we learn more information, but for now, it doesn't appear that this will be a major traffic concern, although that street sweeper, again, making the rounds here on East Washington.
Christina, thank you. Here are 3 other things you need to know this morning. Northern Wisconsin is recovering from heavy storms overnight. Green Bay experienced power outages, flooding, and property damage. At one point, nearly 16,000 households were without power. That number is now down to just around 900 this morning.
The second story we're following, immigration enforcement says it has completed the largest single state immigration enforcement in U.S. history. ICE agents rounded up nearly 700 people at 7 food processing plants across Mississippi on Wednesday. ICE says its operation was not directed by the president.
And speaking of the president this morning, he is continuing to dismiss accusations that his rhetoric on immigration might have contributed to last weekend's mass shootings. President Trump visited El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, where the massacres left 31 dead and dozens wounded. Protesters awaited the president in both cities. He met with survivors, first responders, and medical staff.
Those are the top 3 things to know on your Thursday. Hattie's keeping an eye on the weather and the traffic for us. Hi, Hattie.
Good morning, Lee and Josh. Well, we're starting off on a pretty quiet note this morning. Any showers and thunderstorms from overnight have come to an end. A live look from the Edgewater Sky Cam showing you sunny skies early this morning. Pretty quiet weather picture. Weather track showing you again clear skies for the entire area. All the rain showers and thunderstorms have ended. Temperatures are in the 60s for the most part. We do have temps still dropping into the 50s through central Wisconsin. So some cooler air on the map, and it's headed in this direction. High temperatures today will only be in the upper 70s, but with sunshine and lower humidity, should feel pretty darn nice this afternoon. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. Again, as Christina mentioned, that accident has been cleared on East Washington, so that is good news. Traffic flowing in both directions on that roadway now. We are seeing some brake lights on the Beltline at Stoughton Road. No other issues, though, around southern Wisconsin to report. Looks like you're still going at posted speeds if you're headed into Madison right now. And that's your first alert traffic.
Hattie, thank you so much. We continue to track breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center as crews are on the scene of a house fire in Mount Horeb this morning. Now, we're told it happened on the 1000 block of Vista Ridge Drive. Officials there tell us it happened around 4 o'clock this morning. So far, there have been no reported injuries. Be sure to stick with News 3 Now on Channel3000.com as we learn updates. Governor Tony Evers is dealing with some pretty bad news this morning as the state asked an independent contractor to analyze the Foxconn contract and found that taxpayers could be paying $290,000 for every job Foxconn creates. The Department of Administration says the results of the study are valuable. Foxconn didn't respond when asked to comment.
On the south side of Madison, a neighborhood center is celebrating a gift from the city. On Tuesday, City Council approved $22 million to the Bridge Lake Point Winona Neighborhood Center. That center holds classes and clubs for adults, seniors, and kids from anywhere from preschool to high school. They run all of that out of 2 old converted apartment complexes. With this new money, they plan on building a brand new space. This means a lot to the community there, given what the center has done for this neighborhood since it started 20 years ago.
We've seen a huge change in the community. A lot of people didn't feel comfortable being out after hours. Now this is a vibrant neighborhood. People feel safe walking their dogs and just being out.
The center is planning to fundraise more money to help with the costs of that new building. They have a picnic coming up at the end of the month, and groups with the center, like the knitting and crocheting class, will sell goods to help out.
All this week, members of the Department of Justice are meeting with school teachers and administrators on how to better respond to online threats. They're calling it a digital threat assessment. The training is meant to help teachers intervene when a school gets a report that a student is showing concerning behavior to make sure the school and community are safe.
If a mass attack happens, it doesn't matter how great your response is, the harm is already done. And so the whole point of this training is to really stop this from happening in the first place by detecting signs of concerning behavior and intervening with that student to steer them onto a different track.
Teachers are also trained how to better connect with the students to figure out what's going on in their life.
CBD products are for sale in Fontana this morning, but you won't find them out in the aisles or on the shelves. That's because the Fontana Village Board voted earlier this week that if you want to buy a product that contains CBD, you have to ask an employee for assistance. That new ruling required those products be kept behind a store counter, just like cigarettes. And while there is no age restriction on purchasing CBD, the village feels it will be an extra helpful step to keep those products out of the reach of children.
This morning, Capital One is facing a class action lawsuit from a number of Wisconsin customers impacted by the Capital One data breach. The suit alleges Capital One violated the Wisconsin Consumer Act when he failed to protect the private information of people who applied for credit cards with the company.
I think what's most important is that anyone who thinks they may have applied for a Capital One credit card or had a credit card that was taken over by Capital One, including store cards, should immediately review their credit reports and should immediately look through their credit portfolio to see if they've been affected.
Capital One executives said the breach, which happened in March and April of last year, impacted 100 million applicants. Around 140,000 Social Security numbers and 80,000 bank account numbers were compromised.
Looking ahead, former Democratic candidate for governor Josh Pade plans to challenge freshman Republican Brian Stile in this year's election. Stile is in the middle of his first term, taking over for former House Speaker Paul Ryan. The 39-year-old is a Kenosha attorney who received less than 1% of the vote in the Democratic primary for governor last year.
All right, just ahead, we are sharing a feel-good story you're going to want to catch right after the break.
Oh, yeah, and it includes Madison's canine officers. You're definitely going to want to catch that. Plus, we are previewing a Danica Lewis special, a story you're only going to catch right here on News 3 Now. Stay with us. We're back after the break.
Bring your
Welcome back. 6:38 on this Thursday. You are taking a live look outside right now along East Washington Avenue as we continue to follow breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center. Here's a recap of what we know so far this morning. All lanes there are back open after hours of cleanup after a crash around 1 this morning at the intersection of East Washington Avenue and South Dickinson Street. At least 2 cars were involved. An unknown number of victims had been transported to the hospital. Again, we do know at least 1 person was killed in that crash. Of course, stay with us here on the program and over on channel3000.com for the latest updates to the story.
Coming up on 6:39 on a Thursday morning, it is time for you to share your morning with us. And Gwen has got a good picture for us this morning. You can check out the water, the trees, the sky. She's got it all going on there in that pic.
We love those reflection pictures, Gwen, and we are hoping to see a lot of these because Hattie has that gorgeous forecast for us.
Lots of sunshine and pleasant weather. I think a lot of people will be getting outside, so be sure to snap those pics and send them to us over on the Channel 3000 Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of our social media feeds, and use that hashtag MyNews3Morning so Lee and I can pick out our favorites and air them right here on News 3 Now this morning, our favorite part of the day.
Oh, yes, it is. All right, to our second favorite part of the day. What is trending in your news feed this morning? 2 UW police canines are getting some added protection thanks to a local pet store and your donations.
Mounds Pet Food raised nearly $20,000 to pay for 2 custom-fitted bulletproof vests. Throughout the month of July, Mounds asked customers to round up their purchase or buy a plush canine toy for a Vest a Dog fundraiser. Each vest has a price tag of around $1,200. Along with the vest, the community donations will pay for 80 first aid kits for canines.
All right, we pass a lot on to the next generation, including health risks, both physical and mental.
Tonight, we're going to tell you about Daisha and Melissa Bischoff. We're going to tell you all about them. The mother-daughter pair had a strained relationship for years, but have recently opened up about their similar struggles with suicide. Dr. Steve Garlow works in the psychiatric ward at UW Hospital and says, while we can be genetically predisposed to conditions like depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia, a diagnosis does not determine your destiny.
Right now, the treatments, the interventions are really more about behavior and treatment for mental illness. And understanding that no crisis, no moment in time that seems irreversible is actually irreversible. No problem is worth dying over.
Danica Lewis sat down with the Bischoff women to talk about the life after wanting death. It's a story you'll see only on News 3 Now at 10 tonight.
I'm really looking forward to this story. And as we know, Danica really focuses on these mental health conversations because there's a stigma about not talking about these issues.
And it's good to see people starting to talk about it. But like you said, we need more of this happening because it is a big deal.
Good on these women. Looking forward to hearing their story. Okay, 6:41 your time now. Hattie has just a gorgeous Thursday in store. Take a look outside on this Thursday morning, 6:41, and Polar Bear already in the pool playing around. Oh yeah, we love that. It's going to be a pool day, folks. Hattie's going to have all the details coming up in her extended forecast after the break.
Love that. That's exactly what we need this morning. But first, it is August 8th, and we want to say happy birthday to Evie and all the other kids turning 3 today.
Aww.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Thanks for celebrating with us. We'll be right back, folks.
Happy birthday, girl.
Look who
6:45 is your time on this beautiful Thursday morning. Live look from the Edgewater Skycam.
Wow.
That is perfection, folks.
Oh, with so much sad news, happening every morning, it seems like. We need a little bit of sun in our lives, and this is bringing it in.
Sunshine. Love it. Loving every second of this. And Hattie, it looks like the next few days, we're going to have a lot of this in store and just great temperatures to go along with it.
Yeah, I think you're going to be really happy, and a lot of others will be happy with the forecast as well. It's looking pretty nice over the coming days. Let's take a look at our precipitation amounts, though, over the last 24 hours. Less than 1/4 of an inch here in Madison, but some pretty strong storms rolling through central Wisconsin, and some of that activity did clip our northern viewing area. Parts of Marquette and Green Lake County did have some wind damage and some power lines down due to those storms last night, as well as some pretty heavy rain. Anywhere you see these blue shaded colors, that's about an inch or more of rain. You can see it did not impact the southwestern corner of the state at all. Now this morning, all of the rain is gone. We're looking at a pretty quiet weather pattern setting up over the next couple of days. Not a whole lot happening to our north and west, so we can enjoy lots of sunshine. High pressure building in from the north will keep skies clear through the day. Cold front will continue to work its way towards the east. Now this weather pattern is actually perfect timing for the Perseid meteor showers. If you want to see something out of this world, check out the meteor showers this weekend. Peak is actually early next week, but there will be light from the moon during the best viewing hours, during the pre-dawn hours. So best time will actually be this weekend when the moon sets just after midnight. So that'll be the best time to look for those meteors. Should be able to see them in all parts of the sky, but they will originate near the constellation Perseus and just south of the constellation Cassiopeia. That's a little easier to find this time of the year. It looks like a W in the sky. Go find a dark open space and allow yourself plenty of time for your eyes to adjust. Should be able to see plenty of meteors over the next couple of nights. Here's a live look again from the Edgewater Skycam. Clear skies, calm conditions this morning. Temperature is holding steady at 64 here in Madison, Mineral Point, down to 61 in the Dells. North of the Dells, temperatures are in the 50s this morning. But dew points are expected to go down today, which actually is good news. We're starting out around 60. Through the afternoon, we'll drop to dew points in the low and mid 50s, which means very comfortable conditions. Shouldn't have any issues with humidity as you go through the day today. So again, starting out sort of bad hair day, but we quickly transitioned into that comfortable range for the dew points. So a beautiful forecast coming up for the day today. Your future track forecast model shows you northwesterly winds and plenty of sunshine this morning. Temperatures are going to warm back into the mid 70s by lunchtime. Not a whole lot happening around here weather-wise this afternoon. We're looking at mostly sunny skies, highs in the upper 70s, maybe around 80 in Janesville, but only in the mid 70s as you head north towards the Dells. Temperatures will cool down pretty quickly this evening. We're already back into the low 70s by 7 o'clock, but we're not going to stop there. Temperatures will drop back into the 50s overnight. So here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures will bottom out around 56. Great sleeping conditions. Maybe you can open up the windows, get some fresh air in the house over the next couple of nights. Temperatures will climb back to highs in the low 80s this weekend, but humidity should stay relatively low. Here's our pet walk forecast. Tico in Waukesha. That's a cool picture.
How regal.
I know. Look at that coat. So shiny and perfect. I want to know what the secret is.
Boy, that might be my favorite dog yet.
That is a pretty dog.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Addie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint is up next on News 3 Now this morning. Stay with us.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, new details overnight about the El Paso shooter. Why the 21-year-old's mom called police concerned about her son owning an assault-style rifle. Plus, in a CBS This Morning exclusive, Tiger Woods, the reigning Masters champion, tells us about his extraordinary comeback and his future in golf. We'll see you at 7.
6:52 right now, time for the morning sprint as we track a number of breaking news stories into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning.
We start with Christina Laurie following the latest on a deadly crash on the city's east side. Christina?
Good morning. All lanes of East Washington are now back open and traffic is starting to pile up after they were closed for more than 5 hours due to a fatal crash overnight. The crash happened here at the intersection of East Washington and South Dickinson streets shortly after 1 o'clock this morning. According to Madison Police, at least 2 cars were involved, although we're still not being told how many people have been taken to local hospitals. Again, we do know at least 1 person was killed. More information will be shared with you the moment we get it up on our website, channel3000.com.
Thank you very much, Christina. Northern Wisconsin is recovering from heavy storms overnight. Green Bay experienced power outages, flooding, and property damage. At one point, nearly 16,000 households were without power in all. That number is down to about 900 this morning.
And a much quieter forecast here in southern Wisconsin. We start with temperatures in the 60s this morning, dropping into the 50s, though, as you head north. A nice, pleasant day is expected. Humidity will stay low as high temperatures reach 78 degrees later on this afternoon.
Hattie, thank you. Breaking into the Channel 3000 Alert Center right now. Crews are on the scene of a house fire in Mount Horeb. It happened on the 1000 block of Vista Ridge Drive. Officials tell us it started around 4 o'clock this morning. No reported injuries so far. Be sure to stick with News 3 Now on channel3000.com for the latest updates throughout the day.
A 40-year-old man from the Wisconsin Dells is dead after a drowning in the Wisconsin River yesterday. He was visiting Newport Park in Lake Delton with his family. Police say he was not a strong swimmer and was wading in a shallow area near a steep drop-off when he went under. Rescue teams found him within minutes, but they were not able to revive him.
A Lyft driver accused of sexually assaulting a passenger will not be charged. The Dane County District Attorney says there's not enough evidence to prosecute him. The woman says the driver locked the doors and forced her to perform sex acts. Police recommend a charge of second-degree sexual assault of a person under the influence. That case is considered closed for now.
Democratic lawmakers are proposing a package of bills that they say could help give victims of childhood sexual abuse justice. One of those bills would expand mandatory reporting requirements for members of the clergy. Under current law, children who were sexually assaulted have until the age of 35 to file a civil case. Another new bill would change that and eliminate the statute of limitations altogether.
Happening tonight, the Madison Night Market is back on State and Gilman. It is the third of 4 night markets this year. It runs from 6 until 10 o'clock, featuring live music and dozens of vendors. The final Madison Night Market this year is scheduled for next month, September 12th.
Immigration and Customs enforcement officials tell us they have completed the largest single state immigration enforcement in U.S. history. ICE agents rounded up about 680 people at 7 food processing plants across Mississippi on Wednesday.
The president is continuing to dismiss accusations that his rhetoric on immigration might have contributed to last weekend's mass shootings. President Trump visited El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, where the massacres left 31 dead and dozens wounded. Protesters awaited the president in both cities. He met with survivors, first responders, and medical staff.
All this week, members of the Department of Justice are meeting with school teachers and administrators on how to better respond to online threats. The training is meant to help teachers intervene when a school gets a report that a student is showing concerning behavior to make sure the school and the community are safe.
Capital One is facing a class action lawsuit from a number of Wisconsin customers impacted by the Capital One data breach. The suit alleges Capital One violated the Wisconsin Consumer Act when it failed to protect the private information of people who applied for credit cards with the company. Capital One executives said the breach, which happened in March and April of last year, impacted 100 million applicants.
Governor Evers is dealing with some bad news this morning. The state asked an independent contractor to analyze the Foxconn contract and found that taxpayers could be paying $290,000 for every job Foxconn creates. The Department of Administration says the results of the study are valuable. Foxconn did not respond when asked to comment.
CBD products are for sale in Fontana, but you won't find them out in the aisles or on the shelves. That's because the Fontana Village Board voted earlier this week that if you want to buy a product that contains CBD, you have to ask an employee for assistance. A new ruling required that the products that be kept behind a store counter, just like cigarettes.
All right, 6:56 now. Let's turn it over to Jason Stone with a look at your first alert traffic. Hi, Jason.
Hello. A disabled vehicle is blocking the right shoulder beyond the West Broadway exit. No delays are expected. The westbound Beltline dips below the speed limit near Monona Drive through West Broadway. There's moderate volume on John Nolan at Olin Avenue and North Shore Drive. With your first alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you very much, Jason.
And it's just a gorgeous start to this Thursday morning. We have clear skies across southern Wisconsin. Comfortable temperatures expected through the day. Take a live look from the Edgewater Skycam, looking out over all the sailboats on Lake Mendota. I'm sure the lake is going to be a very busy place over the next few days. Temperatures will climb to highs in the upper 70s. Again, low humidity expected this afternoon. Just a great forecast heading into the upcoming weekend as well. Temperatures will climb back to highs in the 80s on Saturday and Sunday.
Beautiful end to our work week. Thank you very much, Hattie.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us. Go make it a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Almost Friday, folks. We're almost there.